Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Green Tea Bakery. I'm your host, Christine, and today it's just me and no guest because I haven't done an episode of just me talking to you and sharing my thoughts in a hot minute. Today, I want to give you a little update where I'm standing in life because it feels like I'm entering a new chapter and I want to take you along. First of all, I want to start by thanking my friend Patty, who I met for dinner yesterday. It's a friend that I really, really appreciate, and I love supporting each other and seeing each other grow. But something that she told me is that she always listens to my podcast and she loves the interviews, shares it with people. But she really misses my episodes with just me, sharing my thoughts because sometimes it's so relatable and it's so valuable to hear, like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And this is how Christine thought about it. So, hi, Patty. I appreciate you a lot. But also, if you're not Patty and you resonate, that's amazing. Thank you for being here. Anyways, I'll be doing more solo episodes now, mixed with interviews, but it will be both because I think it's important to share the thoughts that I have. I am in Boston and I came here last week, the day after, the morning after I turned 25. So for everyone listening, take notes. My birthday is on August 13th. Put this in your calendar because I really appreciate birthday messages. On August 14th at 6 a.m. at my flight to come to Boston. It has been such an interesting experience this time around because, for context, I used to live and study in Boston. So this has been my home for más o menos 5 years, I would say. Yeah, in my head, I left, well, not in my head, in reality, I left Boston 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago, when I graduated university and got my grants to work on my business. At that time, I couldn't get a job in the US, so I thought I'll make myself one. And that had taken a lot of turns, but that's when I left. And in my head, it was kind of always like, I have this life that I built myself up for years. I have my friends. Up until last month, actually, I had my stuff in a storage unit sitting around here waiting for me. Yeah, so in a way, Boston was always my home. And I knew that life is kind of the same, even though in my life, a lot of things were going on, but I felt like, oh, most of my friends live still here. Most of the places are the same. My stuff is there. It's still kind of like my backup home, like it's still there. Not really backup, but I have a life here. It was very interesting because last year when I came back and throughout so I haven't been here in almost a year, but that first year after graduation, I came quite a bit and it felt like, yeah, like my home is still there. Even a year and a half after graduation, it still felt like, yeah, my home is still there. And this time around I came and it hit me like a truck a little bit, the fact that, wow, I actually don't have a life here anymore. And yes, I still have my friends, even though, one of my closest friends, Toma, moved away, for example, but there were still a lot of friends who are here. Right now, I'm at my friend Zainab's place, who is also one of my really, really close friends. And despite the fact that a lot of friends are still here, something that I didn't think about, which makes so much sense, but I just did not think about it, is the fact that my friends also have a life that is moving on. It's not standing still. It's not waiting for me to come back to re-enter. So in a way, two things happen at the same time. My life here came to an end. I don't have things here. I don't have a particular reason other than visiting my friends to be in Boston. All that I thought I have had, which I did have in the past, is just not true anymore. So now it felt like I'm not coming back to a life, but I am actually here to visit my friend's life, my friend's current chapters. And that's also something interesting, the question of chapters that I spoke about with my friend Dinara last week, that it's so interesting. If we used to always joke with her and our also friend Anna that when the three of us lived in New York, that was 2022, that was kind of like the beginning of our sitcom, right? So how Friends starts when the characters are 25 and things move on. I remember when Dinara and Anna are 2 years older than me, I think. Yes. But yeah, we're just all worried, me being 21, 22, them being 24, 23, and really being so stressed out about, we're not there in life yet where we want to be and so on. And in general, New York was such a big, like, figuring life out chapter for us that we said, this is season one of our sitcom. Like, this is season one of our life. For them, they just freshly graduated university. For me, that was my last year of university when I was doing my internship there in New York. So we called that kind of like our chapter one of our adult life in a way. And last week we spoke with Danara, like, where do you think we are now? I'm not gonna answer for her. If she wants to cover this topic, she can talk about this. But for me, I am entering chapter 3. Chapter 1 was New York plus 1 extra year of university until, I would say, graduation. So May of 2023. That was when my chapter 1 ended, and chapter 2 started of my adult life, which was those 2 really exciting, crazy, weird, intense years after graduation. I'm eternally grateful for the way it turned out. And I'm getting emotional and I'm gonna cry because apparently that's another thing I do on this podcast when it's just me. I cry a lot. But oh my God, I'm looking back at those last 2 years, and I just have so much love and compassion for myself because I think things turned out for me the best way they could possibly be, even though it did not seem like this at times at all. But I graduated. I was struggling to find a job in the US, or in general, a job period, despite having every possible award, despite doing a lot of internships, despite really putting myself out there in every possible way. I was really struggling to, find a job. I'm not talking about the perfect job. I'm talking about a job, period. So what ended up happening is that I got 2 grants. I got 2 grants to work on a startup idea. Important to note that these grants were given to me as a person, not tied to the idea. It was to me as a person, whatever business pursuits I decide to do, I can use the grant. And I think it's the best thing that can happen to a 22-year-old who graduated and has a lot of dreams and aspirations and feels a bit lost, because it truly helped me. I learned so much. I grew so much, even though once again in the moment it really didn't feel like I'm having this development, but I am super grateful. The amount of things, the amount of professional business turns I took in the last 2 years is incredible. The amount of things I learned about the world, about myself, about my skill set, about where I want to go in life, incredible, insane. The amount of character building I did in the last 2 years by hitting the lowest points, also the highest points, but also a lot of really low points is incredible. And I feel like now that chapter number 2 is also coming to an end, and I'm entering a new chapter. Just like my friends who also have not been standing in one spot, now I am visiting them here in a new chapter of their life. Even though, they're still my friends, we still have that human connection. But now life is different. And I think that really hit me in a rough way the first few days I got, because my brain was just freaking out, like, what's going on? Why do things feel weird? That I'm organizing a birthday picnic and I have nothing. Like, I have no picnic blanket. I have no teapot, me as the tea person. I have nothing. And I have to rely on my friends to bring stuff because I literally have nothing. Stuff like that, But anyways, talking about new chapter, I turned 25 last week, and all those jokes about your prefrontal cortex developing, I can now fully subscribe to all of them, because it's incredible. I did not believe, even a month ago when I posted a video about like, oh, help me, my prefrontal cortex is developing. In a month, what do? I got comments about like, it's actually so true. I realized I'm starting to make better decisions in life and things like that. I was like, interesting. Let me see how it goes. And I must really say that this is the summer I turned wiser. It's just so interesting for me because I am really seeing how the decisions I'm making are coming from a more mature point, how decisions I'm making are coming from a point of trust in the world, trust in myself, trust in even if something is really falling apart and it hurts, it's gonna be fine. And I feel like before that, in the last 2 years, it was really difficult for me to let go and trust, just embrace life when things didn't go according to plan, when growth wasn't as fast as I wanted. But I truly believe in the compound effect now. The more work you put in over time, the more thought, the more any type of work in the things you're doing professionally, work in yourself, in your health, mental, physical, whatever, it really pays off. And I feel like I switched from a mindset of playing a overnight virality in parentheses mindset to a slow burn long-term strategy where I know what I want and I know that these little decisions I'm making are, leading to me moving there. Um, moving there. More to come on this soon. I don't want to jinx things. But I'm realizing more and more how little decisions that feel aligned, when you hear your inner voice telling you something to do, you need to listen. And I spoke to many people about this, and some of my friends highlighted the fact that, oh, Christine, but what if I don't hear my inner voice? What if I don't hear what I want? What if I don't know myself enough what I want? And it comes with time. It comes with time of spending time by yourself and just doing something out of character to experience something new. And then once you get into this habit of listening to what feels right to you, I feel like it really unlocks a lot of doors. And recently, when I was in Panama, another very wonderful random thing that I did this past summer. Well, what am I saying? This past summer. This summer. We're still in summer. This past July. Is I went to Panama to a remote town called Guanico, Playa Guanico, and I was painting murals there. I was there as a artist to paint. That was my work there. While I was painting those murals, I would listen to audiobooks and Soviet bangers. One of the books I finally finished, it's a book I started listening to last fall, The Surrender Experiment, and it really didn't hit the spot back then. Like, I just could not really advance in the book, even though I was literally listening to it. Like, I wasn't even reading. But it was just not, I truly believe for every book, poem, place, person, there's always a right time. And I was really, that was my right time to listen to this because it deeply, deeply resonated with me about just trusting. It's by Mike Singer, I think is the name of the author. This book is incredible, and it just shows you a lot of people believe like, oh, but what if I just surrender? I'm gonna become like a hippie and just like, I don't know, not do anything and not grow professionally and not advance in my life. Read this book. Read this book because this man, yes, he wanted to become a hippie and just meditate, and that actually made him one of the most successful tech founders, spiritual teachers, whatever. One of the first ever SaaS tech founders. And spiritual yoga guru sound like two different people, but actually by tuning into his meditations and the environment and life, this man truly built an incredible career in life that is really fulfilling and purpose driven. And I really love this book and I'm so inspired, honestly. But anyways, it came at the right time where I was listening to science so much. The more and more things that don't make sense but feel right to you, you do, the more you hit this alignment in a way. Because what was the reason other than this sounds really cool for me to go to this remote place where you need to take 2 buses and basically travel for a day in Panama? It just felt right. It just felt right, and I had so many takeaways. Honestly, I could also do a separate episode on just my takeaways there, but also it feels like I already processed it, so it doesn't feel as recent anymore to share it. But if you're interested, let me know. Happy to share. I had a lot of life insights there. My journal, actually, I started a new journal while I was there. Fun fact, if you're watching this in video, I started this journal on July 21st. Today it's, wow, August 20th. So it's been almost a month. And this journal went with me to Panama, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Russia, and now we're in the United States. And it's already, I'd say, like a solid third full. It's a thick journal. And there's so many insights. Oh my God, there's so many insights. Ooh, yeah, happy to share them step by step. But also I need to get back into the habit of actually sharing those insights on the podcast, because I just kind of got used to just journaling about it and kind of moving on. But I had such a wonderful cycle when I was doing more of those just me talking episodes where I would actually journal about it, grab my microphone, record a podcast episode, upload it right away without even editing. And that was really cool. So I want to get back into the cycle. But anyways, that was pretty much everything I wanted to share. I just wanted to share that life always gets better and things start making sense. And even if you feel like you're in a really rough place where you feel so stuck, like, oh my God, if you're feeling stuck right now, I can relate so deeply to you, because I was so stuck. Oh my God, this past year, I went from feeling on top of the world to feeling so stuck and so like I'm hustling and working and the needle's not really moving to now step by step feeling so much more alignment and trust and just gratitude and life is so good. Life is so good and worth living and incredible. And it just takes a lot of trust that things will work. And it's actually something my friend Renata shared with me, that whatever you decide to believe in, the universe, yourself, God, different gods, whatever you want to believe in, but you have to believe. You have to believe that things are gonna work out. You just have to keep going. You have to keep going, trusting, because things do work out. Always. They always do. A little update I wanted to give you. As I said, a bunch of really great interviews coming up. A lot of really cool interviews I'm going to be recording and sharing. But also, you'll hear more of me just talking and sharing my insights and crying in front of the camera, probably, and in front of the microphone, because every time I tell something emotional, personal, I always get emotional. And I used to be very ashamed of that. And I would remember I would go to my favorite kinesiologist back home and ask him, can you please tell me, how do I ground myself? How do I become less emotional? How do I not overreact like this? But I realized that it's my superpower. It's my superpower to be so emotional and cry when I see a beautiful sunset, cry when I taste delicious Georgian food that I waited my whole life to finally go to Georgia and actually try there. Cry when, I don't know, a stranger smiles at me on the street, or this wonderful woman in Azerbaijan offers me food and I get to listen to Hans Zimmer concert next door for free. Cry when I'm about to get my period and I really appreciate my friends. And specific instance in India this June. My friend Sanjana's wedding was the week before I got my period, and I cried every single day. I cried every single day because I had so much gratitude that my dad sent me to this random summer camp in UC Berkeley 9 years ago, and 9 years later, I still have incredible friendships in my life because of that camp, because of having really strict boundaries and not being able to leave the dorms other than go to class, and really bonding with those people. So much gratitude. But also cry when, something gets to me. If someone says something upsetting, if someone doesn't show up the way I would like for them to show up, I cry a lot. Hence why you'll see and hear a lot more podcast episodes of me crying, because I love living life fully. I love being emotional and actually when I'm not able to cry, I get like a lump in my chest and in my stomach, and it's really uncomfortable. Like I'd rather cry it out if it's good or bad or in between, you know. But anyways, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really, really appreciate you being here. Please let me know if any of this resonated with you. If you're also turning 25, do you feel any, brain developments? Or if you turned 25 before, tell me how you're feeling. How's your prefrontal cortex doing? Because mine is doing actually pretty good, knock on wood. It's doing pretty good. And I'm very grateful. And things start to slowly make sense. And I'm super excited for the rest of summer. I'm so excited for this fall. I'm gonna share things with you once they're confirmed because I have such juicy updates coming for this fall. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for being here, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the day, morning, evening, afternoon. I'm gonna go make some tea, and yeah, thank you so much for being here.